Well, as Australia and the world grapple with uncertainty, the future of an Adelaide-based dance theatre group is in limbo. They've recently lost their funding, which has put the livelihoods of a number of dancers with a disability at risk.
They call themselves Restless, and they have reason to be. These 7 dancers, most of them disabled, have won awards and accolades in Australia and overseas. But now their future is in doubt. The Australia Council for the Arts has cut their funding.
I was very surprised because only 3 weeks earlier I had been awarded the National Australia Council Award for Dance, and then our company was defunded.
Michelle Ryan's dancing career began 30 years ago. These days, she's the artistic director of the Restless company.
It has such an impact on the careers of people with disability, artists with disability. We were the only dance company that were providing a paid career pathway.
The company's current funding runs out at the end of next year, but they're not giving up. The dancers are busy training in isolation for gigs that may or may not eventuate.
It's great. I'm connected with tutors and dancers as normal, and we've been talking a lot and been doing some dancing.
Gianna Giorgio is backed by the NDIS. For her, dancing is not just her love, it's her living.
When I'm dancing, I am happy. I feel like I'm being supportive.
Gianna, can you just show me when you do the first snap of your arms together? Yeah, so just make sure it's nice and strong. Right.
Without that funding, it's not looking too good. I don't know what these kids will do without Restless. There's probably no other career path that I can think of that we could take for her.
The Australia Council for the Arts didn't question the company's professionalism, but said demand for funding continues to exceed our budget capacity. The council tells us that the company could be eligible for a separate grant when their current $300,000 a year deal expires at the end of next year, but they will have to apply for it.
A lot of our projects that we had in the pipeline, we had planned up until 2024, may not happen or will be in jeopardy.
All these kids that are part of Restless, without the funding, there'll be no workshops, there'll be no tutors, there'll be no performances. It's terrible.
I mean, I think we all understand that, arts funding is always, limited, but the idea that you cut it from an organisation like that that's not only won awards, but is doing it for disabled dancers. It's providing a real community service.
Yeah, and it's inclusive. It's got people with and without disabilities, and they've won so many awards. The list just goes on forever. But the Australia Council for the Arts says that it will work with Restless, work towards a positive outcome while they're going through that application. So let's hope.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Let's hope that the pandemic doesn't get in the road of that, because things are getting harder with that.
Yeah,
I don't think people realise sometimes that the arts is hurting on every level. Yeah. Like, I spend most of my nights touring this country and performing at festivals, and I'm fine, I have other jobs, but all those festival staff have been laid off instantly, and a lot of them don't qualify for any of the JobKeeper because it is casual travelling kind of positions. But it's not just those guys in live performance. Arts everywhere is having its funding cut, and it means you have to look at programs like this, and sadly, that's the reality of arts being basically torn to shreds everywhere, is you lose vital programs like this.
And Tommy, that's why it's important that we keep highlighting examples like this, because the best way to put pressure on government to actually do something about the arts struggling, particularly generally, but particularly during this pandemic, is example after example where it can make people who vote realise that that's just not good enough. Let's see the funding come.
Absolutely. And the thing that is so incredible about so many of these organisations is how quickly they've adapted to online. And like, as we've just seen in that package, doing rehearsals online, doing rehearsals in your own space. There's a number of improv and comedy schools that are also doing that. And so it's not through lack of wanting or lack of people wanting to get on board these projects. It is the funding cuts that are really making